screaming, we always holler back to 'em.
Good evening and welcome to We the People, a program that is from the Fort Wayne 912. My name is Judy Ross. It is my pleasure this evening to introduce to you our two guests, Mrs. Kayvon Daly, the Executive Director of Friends of Bethany, and to Mrs. Juanita Tolbert, the Youth Director from Friends of Bethany. Kayvon, I would like to start with you, and I wonder if you would please tell our viewers something about yourself, and how did you become involved with Friends of Bethany?
Well, thank you, Judy, and I'm delighted to be here tonight, and we probably don't have enough time to explain all of the steps that it took me to getting to Friends of Bethany. And the most that I can say is that I have a passion to serve my community, in particular women and children who are hurting and in need of assistance and help.
How about you, Juanita? How did you become associated with Friends of Bethany?
Well, I had friends that acquainted me with Friends of Bethany. I knew the former director also, but I had friends that we were all working in the school system together, and they told me about this organization, and I came to a few meetings and just kind of fell in love with it.
Kayvon, tell me a little bit about what is the roots or the history of Friends of Bethany? How did it begin?
Absolutely. Friends of Bethany has been around about 15 years now. It began with Rosa and Prince Chapman. And the Chapmans, they had a passion, like myself, to serve our community. And their goal was to work with at-risk youth in the community. And it was shortly after the ministry began, back in 98, I believe it was, that Mr. Prince Chapman was murdered by a youth. Around the age group that they were reaching. Yeah. And so, however, Miss Chapman had a burden to continue the ministry, and she carried it on up till about 3 years ago when I had taken over the organization and was named as the successor.
What is your background as far as your involvement within the community of Fort Wayne before you became involved with Friends of Bethany?
Previously, actually, prior to coming to Friends of Bethany, I worked with the Fort Wayne Urban League, where I worked as a default counselor, and that was during a time that the economy was at its worst. We were going into a recession, and so homeowners were struggling with their mortgage payment, and I, as a realtor, wanted to help my community by serving in that capacity. So I was working with homeowners that were losing their homes, trying to help them save their homes, actually. And that's when I really realized the need in our community, especially with our young people, in particular women. Women were coming to the Urban League. Many of them were economically disadvantaged and had quite a few of them had very little skills, employment skills and things like that. So I saw then a need for the work that we're currently doing here at Friends of Bethany. It began probably maybe over 5 years ago for me.
Would you explain to the viewers what is the mission of the Friends of Bethany and what is it that you hope to accomplish?
Our mission of Friends of Bethany is to serve women and children. Actually, our goal or desire is to empower women and children and help them attain academic excellence, gain healthy relationships, and develop healthy family dynamics.
I noticed that you have a program that is called Partnering with Families.
Yes.
And I wondered, would you give me a kind of a brief overview of what does this mean to partner with a family?
Absolutely. Partnering with Families is actually it was a pilot program for us, for Ms. Tolbert and I, when I began at Friends of Bethany, and the goal there was to help our young single mothers between the age of 18 and 29. Many of them don't have a high school education, and some are low-income families. So we want to help come alongside through the love of Christ and help our families grow, gain those skills that are necessary to move life forward, and that they may be healthy parents, and that they may be able to raise healthy children, and so the family could thrive.
I know that you had told me when we were talking one time that you felt the mentoring portion of your partnering with families was absolutely vital to the success of your program. What is the mentoring program, and how do you go about deciding who would be a good mentor? And is there are there qualifications or certain things that you look for in an individual that it would make them think that they are ideal candidate for your mentoring program?
Yes, and mentoring is a very strong component of the Friends of Bethany Ministries, with partnering with families as well as our Wings for Life program. And mentoring is, I believe, a need today. One, in today's society, we're living in a society where we have broken families, and so that means then that there's many women that are transitioning into single motherhood, and there are some by choice, some, not as due to circumstances of life. And so what we found, though, that the society that we live in today, Judy, we live in a society where family is not supported, or we no longer have the traditional family as we did, several years ago when I was growing up. I grew up in a two-parent household. Many homes right now are ran by female head of households. And so that, I believe, is against God's social order. But nevertheless, because of the broken families, many women find themselves alone in difficult circumstances and in need of a friend. We lack family and community support. Mm-hmm. So for many women, mentoring is a need for them. And I think you could have mentoring in any capacity for business people, for the church community, but in particular for single women, I think that's important, so they will have that support that's needed so that they will be able to reach those self-identified goals, have a friend there, a trusted friend who they could confide in. That mentoring is good when women are stressed, and we know that being a single parent, there's a lot of stress that will occur on a daily basis from just trying to make life happen for their families. Many women find themselves, if they're working, they're trying to be the mother, the father, the counselor, the doctor, everyone. So mentoring is very critical, and it's key for the Friends of Bethany Ministries.
How do you go out into the community and look for a potential mentor? Do they come to you? Just how do you accomplish this part of the outreach?
I can answer your question by saying yes and yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Initially, because Ms. Tolbert and I, we saw the need. Huge need within our communities for mentoring and to have that trusted friend and a safe communities. So because the need was lacking, I initially just asked friends of mine, those trusted friends who are at times, Ms. Tolbert's been a mentor for me, a Christian sister in Christ, and other Christian women that are just godly women that want to serve their community. I asked them to come alongside and serve along with me, and they happily did so. And we have a great time at the Friends of Bethany office serving our families. And today, as we are growing and we are recruiting in more women, we're a little bit more selective. Not that the women that are with me today, those that came on board with me and are still with me, are very great mentors, but I want to make certain that we have a great fit for our families. It's important that women have peer mentors, someone that maybe looks like them, that has been through some of the similar challenges that they've gone through, and should then be able to provide that social support that women will need. So we're definitely looking for Christian women who have a love for their community, as well as single women who have gone through single parenting themselves, so they would be able to relate to the women that they will be mentoring. And so that one-on-one match is critical to make certain that we have women matched up with other women that they can relate to.
I also think
sorry.
no, that's fine. It was a kind of contagious thing for me because we have such a dynamic group of women, and when you share the news with others, they get excited too. And we have women that are excited about helping, younger women.
That's marvelous.
Yeah. It used to be a time when I was growing up, that the women and the daughters and you did certain things. And nowadays everybody's kind of busy, but we still have women that are willing to share with the younger women, just passing on some of their, experiences and things that they know. So,
are most of your mentors women, or do you have any men that have volunteered to mentor?
Basically, we are a women's organization
Right.
at this time. It would be good, and maybe one day we will, spread our wings to men and boys. But right now, just women are what we're doing, and it's a great fellowship. It's a good thing when women can come together and share.
Would you share with me, Kayvon? I know that your ministry is you minister to single women with children. Could you tell me what is the average age of the women that are in your program? And I think you had said already that most of them have not graduated from high school. What is the average age you're working with?
The average age, I would say, with the Partner with Families program is probably about 25, around in that age. But we do have the age group that we serve within the Partner with Families program is 18 to 29, which is our millennials. And they're an interesting group. They are they think differently than we do. Years past, some of them no longer share the same core values that we've shared in the past. For instance, in regards to family, the millennials they're marrying at a later date than we did years before, and for various reasons, of course, and I won't go into all the details, but so that age group, in terms of the core values that we shared in terms of family, healthy family dynamics, and many of them have blended families or have had blended families. Some of them have never been married, and so forth. So the age group, it's an interesting age group, and I love working with the millennials. One, we get a chance to challenge that worldview that they share. In fact, we had, a group mentoring session, and I'll explain that shortly here, but at the group mentoring session, I think it was my first or second, I was introduced to a term called wifey status, and I had no idea what that was, and so, but the girls helped me understand that what that term meant was that male...
Excuse me,
Yes.
that was called what? Wifey status?
Yes.
Wifey status, okay.
Yes.
All right.
And these group of girls explained it as a guy could have more than one female friend. And that, of course, being acceptable to them was quite shocking. However, whomever he treated with the greatest respect or showed the most attention to was considered the wifey.
They're not legally married. This
No.
is just...
No.
Okay.
Yeah, and it is shocking, and it's happening in our communities where that one man could have 2, 3, 4 girls, however many he chooses, and he could possibly have babies with all of them. But whomever's treated with the greatest amount of respect and treated or regarded as a wife is considered the wife. And so that's a little bit different for us than what we've those values that we shared in previous generations, where a wife was someone who was married to a man and went to the altar and committed herself to that relationship. And it's interesting because the women are committed to these men, they're just not committed to the woman. So we, again, had an opportunity to challenge that worldview, and of course it's very inconsistent with the Word of God, of course,
Yes.
and it's very dangerous for other health factors, you know, that's very risky. And so we had a chance to talk about all of that at the table at our group mentoring session, and more importantly, help women understand their value. And that, one, God never intended, He didn't design us to be treated with such disrespect, and therefore we need to make it a priority to change our standards of living and value ourselves as God values us. So we get a chance to challenge the worldview in that with those age groups. So it's quite interesting. We have a lot of great discussions around the table. I know it's shocking. It shocks me too. I thought, oh my God, you guys go for that?
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
What did you think the first time you heard that?
Well, certainly not raising any girls. I was shocked. But it is just a different view that we are seeing, and not only, you know, in our communities, but, you know, it's a worldview. And when you think about what's going on in the world, in the, you know, in the star status, a lot of times, you know, they see stars on TV and they can, you know, live together, you know, without the benefits of marriage. And so all of that, you know, is taken in. And so it's happening. Sometimes we don't know it, some of the things that's going on, but we can see it even, you know, on the big screen sometimes. So it's passing down.
It's in the big screen. It's in the movies or TV, the movies. It's in the music. It's just so prevalent everywhere within our society.
And you know, Judy, and I'd like to add too, because we look at the social problems that exist in America today, and we oftentimes, you know, wonder why. But when you look at the family structure, God always intended for the family to be a husband, a wife, and children. That's God's social order. So when we go against that standard or mandate for our lives, of course, we create, it's considered sin, but we create problems for our lives, and not only are we affected, but others are affected as well. And in most cases, with the women that we're serving, it's their children. So they grow up in a household without a father or a positive male role model. And so their world is being shaped or defined by what they're seeing by their parent and or on the television. So it becomes a social problem when if those behaviors should continue, if single parenting becomes the norm. It happens, we know it happens, but we know that's even although it does happen, that there's a way that we still regard ourselves as women. And I believe that abstinence is a key. And many in today's society don't believe that. We have families that are having multiple children, unwed, you know, parents and so forth, and it's becoming the social norm that it's okay to have a child outside of wedlock. You see it on television. So, but again, our kids are suffering as a result of it.
And our jobs at Friends of Bethany is to just inform them and try to guide them and tell them what God's perfect plan was. And that was a family, not a broken family, but a family with a mom, dad, and children. Yeah. And children are greatly affected because what we're seeing some now even is absent moms. And when you have an absent dad in the home, and now absent moms, and it greatly affects the children.
When you say an absent mom, would you explain that a little bit further? What do you mean by an absent mom as well? Well,
moms that are incarcerated, or moms that have left the children with, the grandmother or another family member. And we certainly see that in the school setting as a difficult problem for children, especially young children, when you don't have a mom or a dad. And we as grandmothers love children, but it's not like, the mom. Yes. Grandparents are good, but they have a grandparent's place. Mm-hmm. And so there are many grandparents raising children. There are many children in foster homes.
Mm-hmm. I know that many of these values, you had told me that once a month, Friends of Bethany it's a dinner, or it's a group mentoring program that you have. And is it in that setting that you try to talk about these various issues that you've just mentioned in that monthly meeting?
Absolutely. It is our group mentoring session. It's a monthly meeting, and we will feed the families. We've realized that the families no longer sit at the table and have dinner together, which is quite surprising. And so, and it is a healthy behavior, or it was a healthy behavior, because kids were learning from their parents many things, valuable lessons at the dinner table, where they're no longer doing that. So at our group session, not only are we ensuring that the kids are having healthy meals, able to sit down at the table with their mom and have some discussion. After dinner, we'll have our breakout sessions where we will then some of us, the peer mentors, will stay with the adults, the mothers. Some will go with our teens. We have a mentoring group for them as well. And then Ms. Tobert will take the youth. She and another youth facilitate the youth groups. So we do have various discussions at the table. Every month we'll select a different topic, and it's the topics that are selected. It's very selective of what we'll talk about. Of course, relationships is a great conversation around the table. Parenting, enrichment, and discussions about parenting and how important parenting is, successful parenting techniques. We'll talk about that at the table. We'll talk about financial literacy, the importance of having an education, and the importance of family values or core values, and what that looks like, and helping them define what those core values are so that they can then pass those healthy core values on to their children. So we have a great time at the table, and it's an opportunity for not only that we're learning about our young people, or we're just there to, of course, throw out all of our ideas and beliefs, but they get an opportunity to share what their values are and how that happened for them. And I found that it's very therapeutic for them, and because they're able to talk about those stressors that go on in their life as it relates to the topic. And then, of course, we can, in our discussion, again, help them understand the right way, or what we find to be appropriate behaviors. So the conversations are great. But if I can go back to what Ms. Tobert mentioned about the absentee mothers, because I've been looking for research for this. So if you come across any, please let me know, because it's important to me, because it's something that we're seeing within the communities today, as Ms. Tobert talked about, with the absentee moms, the mothers that are incarcerated, there's a very high percentage of moms incarcerated, which we have another program for that. But then we have parents, in addition to what Ms. Tobert has just mentioned, we have parents that are there, moms that are there but not engaged. And there's been a lot of discussion about that in various groups that I've been a part of around the table, the focus groups. But it is all of those reasons that will, whether mom is just laying on the couch and not engaging in her child's life, not attending school meetings, or incarcerated and things like that. All of that, when you look at that and you then see, then we have absentee mothers. And it's important to me, if I can quickly say, because parents are the primary role models, or should be. And we have come to understand the problems that have occurred throughout the years with absentee dads, which we've got unruly children as a result of it. They lack discipline. And then we have mothers that are now walking away from their responsibility in parenting their children, and so we have a child that's growing up to figure out life on their own. Again, the Lord never intended that, but my heart goes out to the child and the parent because they don't understand the important, some of them I can say don't understand the important role that they play in the child's life. And my concern there, mothers are the greatest influencer in that child's life. They can shape that life for the future. And without that parenting, what happens with our children? What will the next generation be like? So with our mentoring program, we're addressing those issues again at the table, as well as through our one-on-one mentoring. We didn't get a chance to talk about that much, but and we find that the work that we're doing is critical. It's not only that we're having fun, we're talking to our young people, we get to pick their brains and figure them out, the next generation connecting, to the younger generation, that's a great thing, but in addition to that, helping them understand how valuable they are to the next generation.
Right. And sometimes guests from around the city is brought in with some great topics too. So they have the chance to hear guests on various topics, and then we do in-house discussions and talking. So it makes some good sessions.
And these programs are at the, I know your offices are in a church, and you have these group mentoring sessions there in that facility?
Yes, at the Trail Ridge Community Church, and I'm very thankful to them because they allow us to use the space to facilitate the group sessions there. We also have an office space there that they've been generous and allow us to use as well, so that we could carry out our mission. And that address is at 7501 Helson Castle Road, right at the corner of Tillman and Helson Castle.
And the name of the church is?
Trail Ridge Community Church.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What the single women population that you serve, how many children are within your program, and what is your average age of these children?
The number of children we have at our group sessions, and we again invite the families in, and at times we'll have 10, 15, or other times we've had 40 kids,
Oh, wow.
So that, we try to make sure that we have 2 adults back there with the kids at all time for the safety, of our youth workers as well as the children. But we can, at one time we've had probably over 200 families, or not families, but people at our site, because we offer the family engagement opportunities. That's important as well, to help moms understand, again, the important roles that they play in the child's life. So
there is so many wonderful things that we can continue to talk with Kayvon and Juanita about, and we are out of time for this evening, but we are going to invite you to come back next week as our conversation will continue with them, and we will learn more about this wonderful program that they have, Friends of Bethany. We look forward to seeing you then, and for now, we say good night and goodbye, and may God bless you. And
Hunkered in the sand, middle of nowhere. The war was raging, and he didn't think he'd be spared. He told his buddy, "Guess this is the end." His buddy looked at him, said, "Don't say